Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Chris with Inside the U. The number 12 Miami Hurricanes win 56-9 over Florida A&M to improve to 2-0 on the season. Certainly a lot of positives in this one, a lot of positive, productive performances by a number of guys on both sides of the ball. As 7 different players scored touchdowns, Cam Ward with another big day, Xavier Restrepo another big day, but also defensively, 3 different players had a sack, 3 different players had an interception. So a lot of guys saw action in this game, which obviously is what you want to do in a game like this against an FCS opponent. But not only did these guys play, and look, I thought it was great not only that they played, but they played throughout the game. And sometimes with reserves and freshmen, you have to wait your turn until the first team really gets a big lead. But look, they put these guys in throughout the game, kind of sprinkled them in, even in the first half, which I thought was great, because you're getting these guys action. The game was in Miami's favor, certainly, but it wasn't completely out of hand where you're just emptying the bench at the end of games, which I thought was certainly a good thing. But certainly it's great that these young guys not only played in the game, but they made plays. Justin Scott, defensive tackle, the highest ranked player in Miami's freshman class, had a sack. That was great to see. Interceptions by Cam Pruitt and also Darius Hayes. We saw JoJo Trader in there. Some other good young players. Jordan Lyle on his birthday gets a touchdown. So again, a lot of positive. So before I get into more of the offense and my thoughts on Cam Ward, there was something I noticed before the game even started, a few tidbits. I always like being down on the field for pregame warmups. I wish I could have been able to be on the field like that in Gainesville, but I only had a press box credential, so I wasn't able to be on the field for pregame warmups. And one of the reasons why I like being down there is just to be able to see as many little things as possible, how guys warm up, how they're doing, maybe some injuries. Today, Jalen Rivers didn't play. I saw Ryan Rodriguez, in the Hurricane Walk, come through on one of those medical knee scooters, so he didn't play obviously as well. And Coach Cristobal did address Jalen Rivers and just said he was a little banged up and didn't want to push it, so that's why he didn't play. So Markel Bell gets to start at left tackle, and then also Matt McCoy, who actually split time with Rodriguez, gets to start at left guard, so kind of a new look left side. I think it's good in a game like this to be able to get different guys reps. And certainly, kind of up and down, I thought, with Bell and McCoy, but just getting that experience with a lot of these guys, that was certainly good. Just a couple other things I noticed. Real quick, I saw Robbie Washington warming up, and he came out with the defensive backs, so he goes through drills. That's new to me. I know last year there was a time where, a very brief time that I felt like he worked as a defensive back, comes in as a wide receiver. So that to me is just something to watch for. I know they don't have as many numbers, and Coach Guidry has mentioned they just don't have as many numbers as they would like. And I wonder if that's part of it. Also, they just have a lot of receivers right now. And certainly those top 4 guys are getting the majority of the reps. And I'll get into more on the receivers in a little bit. But yeah, Robbie Washington kind of working out with defensive backs. But the real thing I want to talk about, the biggest thing I noticed when I was watching the pregame warmups, and it's just a lot of fun. I urge fans to kind of get there and soak it all in if they can. But they come out in different position groups. And when the defensive line came out, I just couldn't help to notice Tyler Barron. And, I've been kind of formulating my own thoughts on him, either in fall camp and kind of listening to him throughout some interviews and watching him play. And then he goes out and has a huge game today, the 3 sacks. So I know everybody's going to be talking about Tyler Barron, but I would have talked about it before the game because I was just watching him. He just has this real professional approach to him, and obviously looks great. But I was kind of watching him go through drills. I thought he does a good job of just kind of getting himself ready. Also, just kind of his poise and his maturity, and it just kind of stood out. Just kind of watching him, even if he was listening to headphones, or I watched him sign some autographs, whatever it might be. I was just kind of taken aback by him, and I think he's such a good example for this team. I know everyone's going to point to Cam Ward, maybe the difference in this team, and absolutely it is. Cam Ward is his leadership, his confidence, his play on the field, certainly with the offense at the quarterback position. It's a big thing. But I think Tyler Barron represents a lot of what this team is about at this point, 2 games into it, and what they want to be throughout the rest of the season. And that's a guy that's played at a high level. He's made plays. He's an older guy. They have a lot of veterans on this team. And not only that they have veterans, but they've got playmakers and leaders and guys that want to win and be productive and be able to get drafted and go to the next level. I just think he really kind of personifies what this team is about. And You know, Coach Cristobal was asked about him after the game. Again, a huge performance, his first 3-sack performance in his college career. He's been a guy that does get sacks and tackles for losses. And Cristobal just said he called him an avatar because he's, you know, I think we know why, just his size and his speed combination. But I just think there's a certain maturity. I just couldn't help but notice it in pregame warmups and also the Hurricane Walk and watching him coming into the stadium in Gainesville too. You know, I think he's a guy to really pay attention to in terms of maybe establish himself as a leader. Maybe, I don't know if he's a vocal leader, but just the way he plays, the way he goes about it, I think he kind of represents a lot of this defense and what they want to do. And I think that can really help, you know, not just his 3 sacks every game, that would certainly be great, but just kind of everything he's about. I really think that's something to watch for throughout the rest of the season. And before I get to the offense, yes, with the defense, there were a couple things they've got to clean up. They gave up a couple big pass plays early on. You know, it happens. I'm not really overly concerned about this team. You know, I don't think overly high of this secondary. They played well against Florida, but I think they're going to give up some plays. I think that's just part of it. But I think what we saw against Florida and again tonight, you know, they were able to make some plays. I think Coach Guidry's just going to keep coaching them, you know, and Chevis Jackson as well. So I don't think anything to really worry about. I don't think anything's changed my mind really in the first couple weeks, other than that they do have a level where they can play at a high level like they did, I thought, against Florida for the most part. All right, let's switch it over to the offense. I want to talk a little bit about the run game. And I thought it was great in that third quarter to get those 3 rushing touchdowns. You know, he starts off with Fletcher getting the 4-yarder, Damian Martinez, and we saw this so much at Oregon State, being able to rip off a 33-yarder, kind of get to that second level, then get off to the sideline, up the sideline into the end zone. 33-yard score, finishes 10 carries, 90 yards. Obviously, those are good yards per carry. You know, and then Cam Ward with his leaping touchdown, it was certainly highly impressive. But I just think, you know, yes, it took a while for the run game to get going. I'm a little surprised, though, that they really are throwing the ball as much as they are in terms of their run-pass splits, particularly with that first-team offense. I think I was very curious what it was going to look like in terms of an offensive identity with this team, if they were, how much they were going to run and pass. But certainly, they are putting the ball in Cam Ward's hands. They did it again tonight, just like they did at Florida. I think at this point, that's what this identity is going to be. I think also that is the correct move. I think Cam Ward is the best player on this team. I think as the offense goes, I like the wide receivers, particularly those top 4 of what they have there. Now, certain guys got to be a little bit more productive, but overall, I think that's their strength, is their passing offense. And it will be interesting how teams are going to defend them moving forward. You know, if they're going to try to take the passing game away, maybe some deep shots, try to keep everything in front of them. Will they force force Miami to lean on the run game? So we'll see. But certainly, Mark Fletcher getting in there, kind of good yards per carry as well. It kind of just broke free in the second half, which I thought was a good sign, even though there weren't as many big runs early on. Okay, so let's talk about the passing game. You know, Xavier Restrepo, there was a moment I noticed in the game, late in the game, I think it was the third quarter, he fielded a punt. Look, the score was out of hand, not a big deal. He actually called a fair catch, but he caught it with no gloves on. And if you watch Restrepo, I've watched him closely for a long time now. Yes, he wears gloves. So I was wondering why he didn't have gloves on. I feel like in pregame, I felt like he gave his gloves away to a fan. So I'm thinking maybe he thought he was out of the game as a starter and then was told just to get him back in there. I don't know exactly if he just didn't have his gloves near him or why he decided to. But we're in the post-game press conference room. I'm in the back because I have video, trying to get the press conference video for you guys. And Xavier's waiting for Coach Cristobal to wrap up. And I kind of just asked him briefly, you know, why didn't you have gloves on? I figured nobody else really noticed this. I wasn't going to ask it in the post-game press conference. It's not that big of a deal. And all he said to me was he just wanted to challenge himself. So I kind of I listened to him. That was his answer. But I asked him, I was like, did you think you were done? Because that's what I thought. Maybe he thought he was done. He didn't have his gloves anywhere near him. They told him to run back out there and field a punt. But he just kind of said the same thing. He's like, I just want to challenge myself. So take it for what it's worth. That's what he said. Maybe you thought differently, but you know, it just shows to his skill level. Yes, he can field a punt. Absolutely, he can catch balls if he wanted to without gloves. But I just thought it was a little small thing in the game, completely out of hand. I'm sure most people weren't paying attention, especially because it was a fair catch. You know, another great performance by Cam Ward. Certainly he's playing at a really high level. It's a lot of fun to watch. I'm sure that you guys are enjoying it quite a bit. The fans in the stadium certainly seem to be enjoying it. There's a lot of confidence in this team, on the team, not just the offense or the receivers, but the entire team. You know, the defense as well. I know the coaches are really confident. You know, I talked to someone kind of before the game, and just that they feel so glad to have Cam on the team, and they just feel like they really have a chance to really compete for high-level things this year, and they're excited about it. You know, Coach Cristobal mentioned in a post-game press conference, said, look, Cam came here because he wanted to win a championship. So we will see how the season plays out, but it's been a lot of fun watching him. He's playing at such a high level, and it's just a lot of fun being able to watch him kind of go through, again, being patient with the offense, looking for plays to develop, not just sticking to one read, but also, you know, willing to kind of do whatever it takes and throw to whoever kind of is open. I think it's just a lot of fun to kind of watch it. I know, again, the opponent tonight, there's only so much you can take from it, so I don't want to make a huge deal out of the performance tonight, but just in general, you know, he's off to a great start, a lot of reasons to be excited, and the biggest thing is there's a lot of reasons to believe this can continue with how he's performed, particularly the last couple years. Now he's in a different system, but he's his 5th year here in college. There's a lot of reason to believe he's just going to have a really good season. And then just lastly, I want to make sure I mention this, but Isaiah Horton, 4 catches, 66 yards. He's really off to a great start. And for this second straight game, he's been Miami's second best wide receiver. And I think coming into the year, there's no doubt about it, looking to be that 4th guy. But like I said, these first 2 games, he has stepped up and he's been the second best receiver behind Restrepo both games. And I think that says a lot about Isaiah. You know, he's a guy that didn't play a lot the first couple years. You know, they bring in another receiver in Brown. He certainly could have hit the transfer portal then. He did not. You know, he said the right things in terms of, you know, Sam's going to help this team. And he stayed throughout the process, really worked himself through it. I remember asking him, I think it was after his freshman year. I thought after his freshman year, maybe he's going to be a guy that leaves because other guys did. You know, why did he stay and stick it out? And he's definitely done that. And I think the biggest thing is not just stuck it out. He's gotten better. He's a better player this year than he was a year ago, and he deserves a lot of credit for that. The work he's put into it. A lot of his teammates have said positive things about him, but you hear a lot of positive things about a lot of guys, but you're seeing it on the field. That's the best thing. Again, I like this team with its wide receivers. It definitely looks like they got 4 guys that they can really rely on each and every game to play a lot of snaps, and all 4 of them are capable of making big plays. I think it would have been great if Sam Brown could have came down with that deep ball. I'm sure look at film, see if there's anything he could have done a little bit better, but I think just coming down with it. And then also Restrepo. You know, he felt like, he said it was kind of like his bad, even though he didn't come down with a deep ball, and he was, you know, had that pass interference call. So these guys are going to keep working. They said that a lot, and I felt like they really meant it. You know, they know they've done good things so far, but a lot of guys are just saying that there's mistakes that they can correct, they can be better. And I think that's the biggest thing with this team right now, is they know they've done some things positively, but it doesn't feel like, and we'll see how it goes the next week and the week after, but it doesn't seem like they're going to rest on their laurels. It seems like they're going to keep working and keep wanting to do better. This is a team that's a lot of guys looking for more success than they've had on their previous teams, wherever they've been. So looking to have a big year this year, and I think that they are completely united in that front, that they do want to have a really successful team year, and I think it's obviously off to a great start for Miami here. So let me know some small things that you noticed in the game, maybe some takeaways you have from this game. I didn't mention everybody, but maybe some positives, maybe some things that you're kind of wondering about, maybe some question marks kind of popping up now after a couple games, even though 2 good wins, 2 blowout wins to start it off. Ball State next week at home, then they go at USF. But definitely want to thank everybody for watching the video. Stay tuned for some content. I'll have some Cam Ward pregame video I'm going to put together. But thanks again for watching. Hopefully you have a good rest of the day, good weekend. Hopefully you enjoy the NFL weekend for fans of the NFL. But have a good rest of the day, and take care.